Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're tackling a really compelling question today.
Yeah.
What truly ensures a nation's endurance, its transformation, especially in a world that's changing so fast, often quite turbulent?
It's a huge question. And is it always the obvious forces we think of?
Exactly. Or are there maybe consistent underlying visions that, really guide its destiny?
It's critical, and our sources today, they really shed light on a surprising narrative.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at the trajectory of Pakistan,
Right.
and specifically focusing on the consistent kind of multifaceted role of its military leadership. What's really fascinating here, I think, is that this isn't just a story about defense, traditional military stuff.
Not just tanks and borders.
No, exactly. It's an exploration, really, of proactive nation building, and this spans decades across dramatically different global landscapes.
That's the key.
Yeah.
So our mission in this deep dive is to explore how this military vision, as the sources put it, has served as a kind of continuous thread, guiding the nation's progress, its adaptability across these vastly different eras. We're going to look at the specific contributions of key generals,
Right.
try to pull out the most important insights into their strategic foresight, and critically look at how their decisions, sometimes decades apart, actually built on each other, creating this cumulative impact.
And this journey, it really covers an incredible arc. I mean, you go from the construction of these monumental dams.
Yeah, literally reshaping the land.
Absolutely. Reshaping the physical landscape,
Yeah.
ensuring that foundational resource security. And then you jump all the way to adopting cutting-edge digital currencies, AI.
As new forms of national power.
Yeah.
It's quite a leap.
It is a remarkable historical progression. So we'll look at the specific lessons learned from each period, the foundations that were laid, sometimes, long before their full strategic impact was maybe even fully understood.
So yeah, prepare for those aha moments, because we're going to connect policies and technologies that might seem totally separate, offering you, the listener, a shortcut, maybe, to understanding these strategic undercurrents that have propelled Pakistan forward. It might just give you a completely new perspective on national development itself.
Could challenge some assumptions, perhaps.
Definitely. Challenging conventional ideas about who really drives long-term progress. This isn't just history, it's a deep look into the playbook for national adaptation, even survival in the 21st century.
Okay, let's dive in.
So at the heart of this deep dive is this argument from the sources that Pakistan's evolution isn't just random events strung together.
Right, not disconnected.
No, it's presented as a continuous strategic unfolding, guided by its military leadership.
What is it about this military vision that supposedly allowed it to, transcend shifting governments, global turbulence, and consistently steer the nation?
That's the crux of it, isn't it? What's really fascinating here is this idea of a sustained strategic outlook, one that kind of perseveres, adapts, even when national challenges are shifting dramatically or the whole global context transforms.
Which it does, constantly. Constantly. So for military vision to be the consistent guide, it implies a leadership that's deeply invested not just in, say, the immediate defensive borders.
Traditional role.
Exactly. But in the very fabric of the nation, its long-term economy, its foundational infrastructure, its tech prowess, even societal cohesion, it suggests a pretty remarkable long-term strategic planning capability.
Looking way beyond the next election cycle, maybe?
Way beyond immediate crises or electoral cycles. It's a vision that defines national interest very broadly, seeing development itself as a core part of security.
So it sounds less like just reacting to threats as they pop up
Mm-hmm.
and more about proactively shaping the nation's future, maybe anticipating needs long before they become critical.
That's exactly how the sources frame it. They explicitly state each era taught lessons, each general left behind a foundation. That doesn't sound like isolated efforts at all.
No, it sounds cumulative, like building blocks.
Precisely. It's this powerful idea of building block by block. Each generation of leadership doesn't just inherit stuff. They actively add to it, evolve the work of the previous generation.
So not just throwing out the old playbook every few years.
Right. It's about integrating past strategies into a bigger unfolding story of national development. Think of it maybe like a relay race. The baton gets passed, but the finish line, survival, strength, sovereignty stays the same.
I like that analogy.
So the impact becomes cumulative, layered, creating a resilience that might be harder to achieve otherwise, with constant stops and starts.
And the sheer breadth of this vision, as described in the sources, it's pretty stunning. From the roar of tanks in 1965 to the hum of data centers in 2025.
That quote really captures it.
It's an incredible spectrum, From very tangible traditional power symbols
Boy, the tanks?
to these highly abstract, almost invisible cutting-edge technologies like data centers.
And this highlights the incredible adaptability that's supposedly inherent in this strategic vision. It suggests a recognition that the very definition of national power, of security, it isn't static. It evolves.
So technology with global shifts.
Absolutely. In '65, the roar of tanks meant conventional military strength, clear, undeniable defense capability. Fast forward to 2025, and the hum of data centers, well, that signifies a new, equally critical front line.
Economic security, digital infrastructure.
Information warfare, leveraging data, the whole 9 yards. The tools change dramatically, but the underlying drive secure the nation, advance the nation that stays constant. It's about figuring out what strength means now in this era and then proactively investing in it.
This really makes you stop and think, doesn't it, about the wider implications of having this kind of long-term strategic guidance. How does this maybe compare to or differ from the civilian-led development models we often see?
Yeah, where political cycles can be much shorter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And priorities can shift pretty dramatically with each new administration. What are the inherent strengths, or maybe the challenges, of the approach described in our sources?
That's a really important question, especially if you're interested in different ways nations develop. Look, civilian-led models, they often thrive on democratic accountability, right? Bringing in a broader range of perspectives, being responsive to immediate public needs. Those are huge strengths.
Undeniable.
But, as our sources seem to imply, they can also be vulnerable to those short electoral cycles. You get policy discontinuity, maybe a focus on short-term wins over those multi-decade strategic investments.
Like building a massive dam, for example.
Exactly. A military-guided strategic vision, as described here, might offer more consistency. The ability to undertake those huge multi-generational projects, partly because it might bypass some of that short-term political turbulence. The strength, as seen in Pakistan's case, according to these sources, seems to be that sustained vision and often a disciplined, rapid execution.
Okay, but what about the challenges?
Well, the challenges naturally would involve things like ensuring broader public buy-in or participation in decisions, making sure the vision adapts to diverse societal needs, avoiding maybe too narrow an interpretation of national interests that doesn't reflect the whole society. It's a different approach, definitely, with its own distinct trade-offs and outcomes.
It certainly offers a unique way to look at national development, highlights the impact of a consistent, adaptive, strategic mindset. Okay, so with this overarching framework in mind, this guiding military thread, let's go back. Let's journey back to a foundational era.
Right.
One that really set the stage for so much of Pakistan's later development, laid its physical backbone.
Let's do it.
We're now turning our attention to Field Marshal Ayub Khan's era. Our sources often describe this as a golden decade. And this period, it seems, was all about these monumental infrastructure projects, not just building things, but establishing Pakistan's actual physical and economic backbone. Real long-term vision stuff.
Absolutely. The core idea here is that Ayub Khan's leadership focused on tangible foundational projects, massive scale. These weren't small tweaks. They were designed to fundamentally change Pakistan's resource landscape, its economic potential, for generations.
So this is when the nation physically started taking shape, in a way.
That's how it's presented, solidifying the agricultural base, opening up paths for industrial growth with, incredible foresight attributed to it.
And leading the charge were those colossal Indus Basin dams,
Yeah.
Mangla and Tarbela.
Can't overstate their importance.
Our sources are crystal clear. These were critical for ensuring Pakistan's water and energy security. They sound like more than just engineering marvels.
Oh, far more. They were profound strategic investments, truly existential for a nation like Pakistan. I mean, think about it. For an agrarian economy, controlling water isn't just about irrigation.
It's life itself.
It is. Water security underpins food production, the livelihoods of millions of farmers, reduces dependency on unpredictable weather, and crucially, these dams generate huge amounts of hydroelectric power.
Fueling industry, growing cities.
Exactly. Essential energy. The source puts it starkly. Without dams, there would be no future economy. That underscores the immense strategic weight. Without reliable water and power.
Forget industrialization, forget growth.
Pretty much. Any ambitions for sustained economic growth or even basic stability would have been severely hampered, maybe impossible. They literally provided the lifeblood, the power for the nation to breathe and grow.
No future economy. That is powerful.
Yeah.
It really shows the kind of long-term vision needed for projects like that. Mangla and Tarbela, they don't just give immediate benefits. They physically reshape a nation's potential for decades, for generations.
Right.
What specific challenges, maybe ones we don't immediately think about, did this long-term vision have to overcome? Things that a shorter political cycle might have just stumbled over.
That's a critical point. The sheer scale, the multi-decade planning needed for Mangla and Tarbela, it's formidable. You need sustained political will, the ability to commit vast resources over many, many years.
Often beyond the lifespan of one government.
Easily. A shorter political cycle might struggle with the huge initial costs, the inevitable displacement of communities, the fact that the big benefits only really show up decades later.
Delayed gratification isn't always politically popular.
Not usually, no. The sources imply Ayub Khan's leadership provided the stability, the strategic focus, to push these through, despite those pressures. This vision allowed for vast irrigation networks, bringing millions of acres under cultivation, a robust energy grid fueling industry. It fundamentally changed the physical and economic map of the country.
It was about seeing the future and building towards it, regardless of the immediate political noise.
That's the narrative presented, yes.
And it wasn't just water and energy. Ayub Khan's era also saw the launch of the Green Revolution.
Right, another huge initiative.
Which led, according to the sources, to food self-sufficiency for Pakistan. What were the wider implications of going from food dependency to self-reliance? How did that actually work?
The implications were immense, huge for national sovereignty, for domestic stability, moving from being dependent on food imports or foreign aid.
Vulnerable to global prices, political pressure.
Exactly. Moving from that to self-reliance is a monumental leap. It means you can feed your own people, reduces vulnerability, reduces the potential for internal unrest caused by food scarcity. Food security is just a cornerstone of national stability.
So how did they achieve it? What were the mechanics?
Well, the Green Revolution in Pakistan, as detailed here, it was multifaceted. You had the introduction of high-yielding varieties of wheat and rice.
Better feeds.
Better seeds, exactly.
Yeah.
Expensive use of modern fertilizers, pesticides, and critically, a big expansion of the irrigation infrastructure.
Made possible by the BAMs.
Precisely. It all ties together. Combine that with agricultural extension services, basically,
Right.
teaching farmers the new techniques, and you create this virtuous cycle. Increased productivity, increased output. It bolstered the nation's ability to sustain itself.
And presumably freed up money that would have been spent on food imports.
Absolutely. Vital foreign exchange reserves could then be invested in other development priorities.
Okay, so beyond agriculture, the sources say under Ayub Khan, industrial zones flourished, exports rose. So much so that Pakistan was seen as a model for the developing world. That's a strong claim.
It is a strong claim.
What specifically made a developing nation a model back then? And did the source material touch on any of the complexities or downsides that often come with that kind of rapid development?
That's an insightful question about the nuances. When a nation gets called a model, it usually means it's showing a path to economic progress others could follow. Effective policies, strategic investments, a good environment for growth.
So what did that look like in Pakistan's case?
According to our sources, it included significant government investment in heavy industry, policies to incentivize private sector growth, and a focus on exports. Industrial zones, like special economic areas, were set up with infrastructure, tax breaks to attract investment.
What kind of industries?
Things like textiles, light engineering, consumer goods saw rapid expansion. This created jobs, diversified the economy away from just agriculture, and plugged Pakistan into global trade. More exports meant earning foreign currency, which could be reinvested, a positive feedback loop.
Okay, but what about the complexities? Rapid industrialization isn't always smooth sailing.
True. And while the sources definitely emphasize the success, the narrative is primarily focused on the strategic nation-building aspect. It doesn't explicitly detail, say, specific instances of social unrest or environmental issues, though historical context suggests those things often accompany such rapid shifts, rural to urban migration, strained city infrastructure, maybe uneven wealth distribution.
But the focus here is on the intended outcomes.
Exactly. The sources frame it through the lens of intended positive outcomes. Job creation, diversification, foreign exchange earnings, all contributing to national strength, which leads directly to that defining lesson attributed to the era.
Infrastructure is national power.
Precisely. It underscores that direct link. These tangible assets, dams, roads, power grids, factories, they translate directly into national strength. Not just economic growth in a vacuum, but real resilience against shocks, mitigating internal challenges like resource scarcity and providing the platform for everything else: social development, tech, military capacity.
It's the bedrock.
Without that foundation, a nation's potential stays locked up, vulnerable. It's the very sinews of a modern state as they saw it.
Okay, so from building the physical foundation, the lifeblood and engine, we move to a very different era, one focused on an equally critical, maybe less tangible form of national power: strategic deterrence.
A major shift in focus, yes.
Moving from Ayub Khan's focus on physical infrastructure, we now turn to General Zia-ul-Haq. His time, according to our sources, prioritized national security through strategic deterrence and also a strengthening of societal identity.
Yeah, it's a significant shift. You see the focus moving from the tangible economic infrastructure to what you might call intangible national strength, the strategic, the ideological dimensions.
How so? The source notes, while society was Islamized.
Right. And then it continues, the nuclear program accelerated. Now, sticking strictly to how the source material presents this, the idea of shaping societal values through Islamization could be viewed as an attempt to foster national unity, national cohesion.
How would that work strategically?
Well, the implied logic, as presented, is that a shared set of values, a common ideological ground, could potentially enhance national resolve, make the nation more resilient against external pressures or internal divisions. It's framed as strengthening the nation from within, alongside these other critical strategic moves.
Okay, so focusing just on the source's perspective here, did it specify what aspects of this Islamization were intended to build that shared identity or strength?
The sources mainly highlight the intent fostering unity rather than getting into granular policy details. But generally, historically, such initiatives might involve integrating Islamic legal principles more into the justice system, promoting certain types of education, emphasizing shared cultural and religious values in public life. The strategic aim, inferred from the source, seems to be forging a stronger national identity believed to be more resilient, more capable of unified action against external threats.
Creating a deeper ideological bond.
That appears to be the concept presented.
And running parallel to this, the nuclear program accelerated. Hugely significant, leading Pakistan to stand on the edge of nuclear capability by the late 1980s.
This is arguably the single most pivotal strategic decision in Pakistan's history post-independence. For a nation facing persistent external threats, having fought several conventional wars,
The calculus changes completely.
fundamentally, pursuing nuclear capability is an immense undertaking, costly, technologically demanding, requiring decades of effort. To be on the edge meant the science, the engineering, the materials, the foundations were essentially in place. They could move to full capability quickly if needed.
And that changes everything geopolitically.
Overnight. It alters the regional balance, the global balance of power.
The source describes this capability as a shield ensuring Pakistan would never again be vulnerable to external threats. How does getting that deterrent actually change a nation's standing, its security calculations? What are the long-term implications? Did the source touch on complexities like the stability-instability paradox?
Shield is a really good word for it. It speaks to the core strategic thinking. A credible nuclear deterrent fundamentally redefines your ability to protect your sovereignty, your existence. It introduces that concept of mutually assured destruction, or MADI.
Making a large-scale conventional attack potentially catastrophic for the attacker, too.
Exactly. It raises the costs of aggression exponentially. For Pakistan, getting this capability meant it could theoretically deter those existential threats. It provided a level of security and insurance policy that conventional forces alone couldn't guarantee. It was seen as the ultimate guarantor of national survival.
And the long-term implications.
Profound and multifaceted. First, undeniably, it elevates your status internationally. You join a very exclusive club, though it comes with intense scrutiny and responsibility. It's a powerful bargaining chip diplomatically, influences regional power dynamics massively.
But what about that paradox?
Right, the stability and stability paradox. While nukes deter large-scale conventional wars between nuclear powers because the risks are too high, that's the stability part.
Okay.
They might paradoxically make lower-intensity conflicts, maybe proxy wars, seem less risky because the chance of escalation to a full nuclear exchange is supposedly contained. That's the instability part. It demands a really sophisticated, nuanced approach to foreign policy and crisis management.
So it's not a simple fix.
Far from it. And thirdly, maintaining a credible deterrent isn't a one-off thing. It requires sophisticated command and control, tight security to prevent accidents or proliferation, continuous investment to keep it credible and technologically up to date. It's a perpetual strategic commitment that shapes almost everything: defense budgets, foreign relations. This shield isn't just military hardware, it's meant as a guarantor of survival, altering the strategic landscape, allowing other national objectives to be pursued with a greater, albeit complex, sense of security.
So the defining lesson from Zia's era, according to these sources, is crystal clear. Strategic deterrence is survival.
Absolutely. It captures the essence of that period's strategic push. For nations in tough neighborhoods, a credible deterrent can be the ultimate guarantee of sovereignty, of existence. It's about having the means to make any potential aggressor think twice or maybe 10 times by making the cost unacceptably high.
And that foundational security, once achieved, creates space for other things.
Exactly. Space for other forms of development and progress, ensuring the nation can thrive without constant existential fear. It's a different kind of foundation than Ayub Khan's dams, but presented as equally critical for survival.
Okay, so physical foundations laid, strategic shield in place. Pakistan, it seems, was then ready for a totally different kind of revolution.
The digital kind.
Driven by connectivity and information.
Yeah.
Right, building on that infrastructure and security,
Right.
we arrive at General Musharraf's era. And according to our sources, this is when Pakistan really embraced the information age, leveraging technology apparently for rapid economic and social transformation, a real leap forward.
This era represents another significant strategic pivot, recognizing that national strength in the early 21st century was going to be increasingly tied to digital connectivity, technological capability.
Using tech as a leapfrog mechanism.
Exactly that. That's the core idea presented. Enabling the nation to potentially bypass slower traditional development stages, accelerate progress in a globalized digital world. Musharraf's leadership, as described here, clearly understood that widespread access to information and communication was becoming fundamental.
As vital as roads or power grids.
Becoming that way, yes.
Right.
As vital as physical infrastructure or even military might in some respects.
And the most dramatic example was the telecom explosion. The source states this incredible shift from a few 100,000 phones to tens of millions.
It's staggering when you think about it.
That quantitative leap sounds like a massive, rapid societal change.
Well, it was absolutely transformative. A revolution in communication, social interaction. Just imagine going from a situation where only a tiny elite, maybe a few businesses, had landlines.
Which were often hard to get.
Exactly. To suddenly having tens of millions of ordinary people across the country with mobile phones in their hands. It just broke down those old barriers of distance, isolation.
How did that change daily life?
Fundamentally, personal connections, emergency services, farmers getting real-time market prices in remote villages, micro-entrepreneurs starting businesses in cities. It streamlined transactions, cut down travel needs, connected communities into the national conversation, even the global one, in ways that were impossible before.
Huge benefits right away.
Immense. Social cohesion, economic efficiency, individual empowerment. It created a much more vibrant, connected population.
And beyond just phones, the sources mention internet access transformed businesses. How did that wider access to information specifically empower individuals, small businesses during this time?
Internet access was a total game changer, a catalyst for economic activity. For businesses, it opened up completely new avenues. E-commerce started taking root, even if early stages.
Reaching more customers.
Wider customer base, exactly. Digital services could be offered, reaching beyond physical locations. And critically, small businesses, often the backbone of developing economies, could suddenly access vital info about markets, suppliers, global best practices.
Leveling the playing field a bit.
Significantly. It wasn't just about selling, it was about learning, innovating, competing differently. For individuals, access to education, new job opportunities in the growing digital economy, a wealth of global knowledge. It empowered people by giving them tools and insights previously unavailable or too costly. It was like injecting a powerful new nervous system into the economy and society.
And the result of all this, the sources say, was the emergence of a new digital middle class, and Pakistan becoming a hub of IT outsourcing and telecom growth.
Right. This speaks to real societal mobility, new economic opportunities on a national scale.
How so, the digital middle class?
Well, the rise of a digital middle class is a powerful sign of upward mobility. New, often well-paying jobs appeared in tech, in telecom, often based on skills, not just physical labor or old connections. This wasn't just abstract economic growth, it created a significant group whose livelihoods were tied to the digital economy. That fosters innovation, drives entrepreneurship.
And becoming an IT outsourcing hub? That sounds strategically important.
Hugely significant. It integrated Pakistan much more deeply into the global digital economy, attracted foreign investment, generated crucial foreign exchange, built a reputation for skilled tech talent. It showed that a developing nation could compete, even excel in high-tech services, leveraging its people, its human capital, maybe overcoming other resource limits. A whole new engine for growth and international engagement.
Which brings us neatly to the defining lesson the sources draw from Musharraf's era. Technology empowers nations to leap ahead of resources.
It's a powerful statement.
It is. How can strategic tech investment let a nation bypass traditional development stages or mitigate disadvantages, like lacking natural resources or having older infrastructure?
This is such a critical insight for any developing nation. Traditionally, development often felt linear, right? Extract resources, build heavy industry, then maybe move into services.
The old model.
The old model. But technology, especially digital tech, lets nations leapfrog. For instance, instead of the immense cost and time to lay landlines across difficult terrain,
Mobile phones connect millions, quickly and often cheaper.
exactly. Or instead of building huge physical retail chains, e-commerce platforms can reach nationwide with a much lighter physical footprint.
Less need for bricks and mortar everywhere.
Right. And think about resources. A nation might lack oil or minerals, but if it has a digitally literate, skilled workforce and good internet access, it can become a global player in software, data analytics, digital services. Human capital becomes the prime economic asset.
Potentially more valuable than raw materials.
Often more valuable and more sustainable. Intellect, connectivity become potent forces, leveraging global platforms and knowledge. It allows for faster, more agile growth, not just relying on old industrial models. It fundamentally changes a nation's potential trajectory.
Okay, so building on this digital foundation laid under Musharraf, it sounds like the current leadership is now taking Pakistan right to the cutting edge.
Into the next digital frontier, yeah.
Addressing modern economic and security challenges with even more advanced tools.
That's the picture painted by the sources.
From Musharraf's digital revolution, we land in the present day, focusing on Field Marshal Syed Asim Munir. Our sources describe him as guiding Pakistan into a new era.
Characterized by something quite significant.
A holistic merger, it seems, of economic and national security, driven by these advanced digital technologies.
What's really interesting here is the conceptual evolution the sources point to. The core idea is that today, in the 21st century, economic stability, robust growth, they're not separate from national security anymore. They're integral.
Seen as two sides of the same coin.
Absolutely. Munir, with the SIFC, the Special Investment Facilitation Council, has effectively merged economic and national security, according to the sources. This means recognizing that economic vulnerability, a struggling economy, high unemployment, dependency on aid,
That can create real security threats.
directly. Huge national security threats. From internal unrest to being more susceptible to foreign influence to simply not being able to afford vital defense or development projects. So economic strength isn't just about prosperity, it's now explicitly seen as a fundamental pillar of national resilience, of sovereignty.
That is a significant conceptual shift. Why now? Why is economic stability increasingly seen as so integral to national security in the modern world? What specific vulnerabilities does this merger aim to address?
Well, stepping back, the definition of national security has just broadened massively, hasn't it? Beyond just military defense. We live in this hyper-connected, interdependent world. Economic shocks ripple globally, instantly.
True.
So an economically unstable nation is inherently more vulnerable. It might lack the money to invest in its military, secure its borders, protect its critical digital infrastructure, which is increasingly important.
Whereas prosperity gives you options.
Exactly. Economic prosperity provides funds for defense, improves living standards, which boosts social cohesion, reduces discontent, strengthens your hand diplomatically. So ensuring economic stability isn't just finance. It's safeguarding sovereignty, your capacity to act independently, your resilience against all kinds of pressure, internal and external.
So it addresses vulnerabilities like financial coercion, internal destabilization from poverty.
And just having a diminished capacity to project your interests or defend yourself effectively.
Okay, beyond this strategic merger, we also see the Green Pakistan Initiative. Sources say it modernized farming, This clearly echoes Ayub Khan's Green Revolution.
But with a modern tech twist.
Right. How do digitalization and advanced farming techniques enhance food security and sustainability today? How is this different from the first Green Revolution?
It's a great example of that cumulative learning adapting strategies. Ayub Khan's revolution focused on basics: better seeds, fertilizer, big irrigation. Today's Green Pakistan initiative, as described, is about integrating cutting-edge tech and data. Digitalization means using things like satellite imagery, drones for precision agriculture, monitoring crop health, soil conditions, water use with incredible accuracy. Advanced techniques now include smart irrigation systems that minimize water waste, hydroponics, vertical farming, climate-resilient crops.
Crops that can handle environmental shocks better.
Exactly. So it's not just about boosting yields for food security, though it does that. It's also heavily focused on sustainability, optimizing resource use, minimizing environmental impact, making agriculture more resilient to climate change. It's leveraging data, advanced biology, for smarter, more sustainable farming. A clear evolution.
And moving deeper into the digital frontier, the sources highlight that blockchain safeguarded transactions. Now, for our listeners familiar with blockchain, the key strategic insight here, as the sources frame it, isn't just what blockchain is.
Right, the tech itself.
But how Pakistan apparently deployed it, recognizing it as a practical tool against real problems like financial irregularities, capital flight. How does that immutable ledger idea specifically help build investor confidence and fight corruption in the Pakistani context described here?
That's a great way to frame it, focusing on the strategic application. The power of blockchain here lies in those inherent features: security, transparency, immutability. When transactions, financial, property, government records, whatever, get recorded on a blockchain.
They're locked in, distributed.
Exactly. Cryptographically linked, spread across a network. Once it's recorded, changing or deleting it is virtually impossible without consensus. Tamper-proof. This immutability directly boosts investor confidence.
Why? Because the records are reliable.
Precisely. Investors, especially foreign ones, need assurance their deals are secure, records are accurate, legal frameworks are solid. Blockchain drastically reduces the potential for fraud, increases accountability, streamlines processes by creating this unbreakable, auditable trail. That's crucial for tackling things like corruption, illicit money flows, capital flight, all things that kill trust and scare off legitimate investment. By building this digital trust infrastructure, the nation aims to enhance its economic security and attractiveness.
Okay, stepping back from the nuts and bolts of blockchain, what are the wider ripple effects? Beyond securing single transactions, how might this tech, on a national scale, actually re-architect systems, like cross-border trade or maybe even financial inclusion?
Looking wider, widespread blockchain adoption could potentially re-architect several national systems. For cross-border trade, think more efficient, transparent supply chains, cutting delays, costs by streamlining logistics, customs, payment verification, huge for a trading nation.
And for the financial system itself.
Could mean more resilient payment networks, fewer costly intermediaries, and financial inclusion. Think about providing secure, verifiable digital identities and transaction histories for people outside the formal banking system. That could unlock access to credit, other services.
And government transparency.
Potentially huge. Imagine property records, land titles, maybe even public procurement bids secured on a blockchain. Could significantly cut corruption, boost public trust by making key records immutable, verifiable by anyone. It's a foundational tech that promises to change the integrity, efficiency, accessibility of digital interactions nationally.
Finally, under Munir, the sources say AI and cybersecurity became defense priorities. This sounds like a fundamental shift in what defense even means.
Absolutely, a paradigm shift.
How do AI and advanced cybersecurity capabilities redefine a nation's defensive and maybe offensive capacities today?
This is probably the biggest redefinition of defense in our time. The battleground has expanded massively. National security isn't just physical borders anymore, it's the digital realm. Data integrity, protecting critical infrastructure, power grids, finance, comms networks, and dealing with information warfare.
And AI's role in this?
It's dual and critical. Defensively, AI can power incredibly advanced threat detection, analyzing vast network data in real time, spotting sophisticated cyber attacks, predicting vulnerabilities before they're hit, even automating responses, cutting reaction times from hours to seconds.
And offensively?
AI can power sophisticated cyber operations, intelligence gathering, reconnaissance, disrupting enemy systems, critical infrastructure potentially without leaving a physical trace.
So cybersecurity capabilities are the new shield and sword.
That's a good way to put it. They protect against spying, sabotage, weaponized disinformation. They ensure the integrity of government communications, military command, essential economic transactions. It profoundly redefines both defense and offense. Defensively, you can neutralize threats faster, boosting resilience. Offensively, you can project power digitally, create deterrence, achieve strategic goals without conventional fighting.
The battlefield is virtual now, too.
Increasingly so. And AI and cybersecurity are the decisive tools in this arena, protecting your data, your digital sovereignty, ensuring you can operate securely in a world utterly dependent on digital systems.
Which brings us to the defining lesson for this current era, and it feels like it ties everything together. In the modern age, survival means adaptation. From tanks to algorithms, Pakistan's army ensured the nation remained ahead.
It perfectly encapsulates the journey the strategic foresight described. The very idea of survival has expanded, hasn't it? From deterring invasion to safeguarding complex economies, critical digital infrastructure. It demands constant adaptation faster than ever before.
From tanks.
The symbol of old-school military power, physical defense.
Algorithms.
The foundation of AI, cybersecurity, blockchain. It illustrates a leadership, as presented, that has consistently redefined the tools of national power. It shows an understanding that staying ahead isn't about clinging to the past, but proactively embracing the next frontier technological, strategic to ensure resilience, security, future prosperity.
True strategic foresight in action. Adapting the vision continuously.
That's the narrative, a continuous evolving vision for national strength.
Okay, we've seen these individual snapshots now, different eras, different focuses, different lessons. Let's try and pull them together. See the overarching patterns, that consistent mission that supposedly binds them.
Let's synthesize.
We've journeyed through decades of Pakistan's development, focusing on these distinct contributions of its military leadership across huge challenges, different technologies. Now, let's bring it together in what the sources call the comparative scorecard.
Right.
Underscoring that consistent underlying mission, even with all the diverse approaches and tools.
This scorecard really distills it nicely. It shows not just individual achievements, but how they arguably built on each other, layer by layer, creating this foundation.
So, starting with Ayub Khan.
Ayub Khan provided the fundamental dams and industrial growth, laid that physical, economic groundwork, secured water, energy, kickstarted industrialization, literally shaped the nation's geography and economic potential.
Then Zia-ul-Haq.
He established deterrence and ideological clarity. The focus shifted squarely to national security via the nuclear program Existential Survival, and according to the sources, fostering that shared societal identity to strengthen the nation internally.
Okay, followed by Musharraf.
General Musharraf ushered in the telecom and digital access, opened Pakistan to the information age, recognized connectivity's power, used tech for rapid transformation, creating new industries, new opportunities.
And bringing us to today, Field Marshal Asim Munir.
Munir brought blockchain and economic security, holistically merging economic and national security, modernizing agriculture with tech, securing digital transactions and national infrastructure with cutting-edge cyber and AI.
So if you connect those dots, what emerges is this clear, same mission thread the sources talk about.
Exactly. A consistent mission running through it all: survival, strength, and sovereignty. Each leader, using the tools and strategies most relevant to their time, contributed to that single overarching goal. The specific tools, the challenges, they changed dramatically, but the core mission, as presented, stayed constant, an unbroken thread.
That's a critical point. The definition of strength itself clearly evolved across these periods.
Massively, reflecting the changing world.
From physical infrastructure to military might to digital connectivity, now economic resilience and cyber capabilities.
Yeah.
It's a really dynamic concept.
Absolutely. That evolution of strength is maybe the most profound pattern here. Ayub's era. Strength was physical infrastructure, feeding people, powering industry, building connections. Zia, military strength, specifically nuclear deterrence, the ultimate guarantor. Musharraf. Strength broadened hugely to include tech prowess, digital connectivity, leapfrogging development, integrating globally.
And today?
Today, with Munir, strength encompasses comprehensive economic security, modern sustainable agriculture, advanced digital defense, recognizing that financial stability, cybersecurity are as vital now as conventional military power. It's this continuous strategic adaptation, always reflecting what's needed for survival and thriving in the current reality.
So what key patterns really jump out for you when you look at these eras through that lens, that continuous mission? And how might understanding this evolution challenge conventional ideas about national development elsewhere?
What really stands out, I think, beyond the individual successes is this consistent redefinition of power itself. That's maybe the insight for any nation. Strength isn't static, it morphs. Dams, nukes, gigabytes, secure algorithms.
Recognizing what power is in each era.
Exactly. The aha moment is realizing adaptability isn't just what tools you use, but how you even conceive of national power in a changing world. It challenges the notion that development is purely linear or sector-specific. Instead, it suggests a more holistic, integrated approach. Physical, military, economic, digital power, all pursued strategically, often overlapping, to ensure that core mission, survival, strength.
So the pattern is proactive adaptation.
Proactive adaptation, yes. Recognizing the tools for achieving national goals aren't fixed. It makes you question, doesn't it, whether long-term stability and progress require a specific political model, or if a consistent, adaptive strategic vision can be effective across different governance forms. It suggests successful nation-building often needs leaders thinking several steps ahead, beyond immediate crises or political horizons.
It's certainly a compelling narrative of continuous adaptation, long-term strategic thinking. As we wrap up this deep dive, let's just reflect on the implications of this journey.
Sounds good.
We've reached the end of, well, quite an extraordinary deep dive. And the central revelation, really, is this remarkable continuity of strategic vision described within Pakistan's military leadership, guiding development across different eras. It seems clear, as the sources put it, generals did not just fight wars, they built foundations.
That synthesis really underscores the key takeaway from the material we've looked at. Pakistan's story, as presented here, is one of relentless evolution, adaptation, survival against constantly changing global challenges, massive technological shifts. It's a narrative of proactive nation building, strategically using the most potent tools of each era.
And our source material concludes with a very powerful, very forward-looking statement. And with each era, it comes closer to its destiny. Pakistan Zindabad, the next world superpower.
Now, without us endorsing that statement, it's a seriously ambitious vision articulated in the sources.
It certainly is. We've seen this journey from foundational infrastructure to cutting-edge digital security. What elements from this deep dive from those original dams right through to AI cybersecurity might, according to this view, contribute to such an ambitious destiny?
That really is a provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over. The journey we've explored shows this continuous, almost relentless effort to secure foundations: water, energy, defense, sovereignty, digital access, economic resilience through tech. These are the building blocks of any robust modern nation.
The capacity for adaptation seems key, too.
Absolutely. That capacity for rapid adaptation, the strategic investment in both physical and digital infrastructure, the constant redefinition of strength based on global realities, these are the elements that, according to the source's vision, could propel a nation towards that kind of future. And what does superpower even mean today?
Right. Probably not just military might anymore.
Likely not. Economic influence, tech leadership, resilience in a complex world. The tools we've discussed, blockchain, AI, cyber, food security, industrial growth, they're certainly critical components of that modern definition. It's a vision built on strategic layers, each adding to the next.
Indeed. It also makes you wonder, what lessons, if any, from Pakistan's unique journey of adaptation, as described here, could apply to other nations facing their own challenges? What happens when a nation consistently applies a strategic vision, adapting it across generations, as this deep dive suggests?
It raises important questions for any nation thinking about its long-term future. The ability to identify core interests, survival, strength, sovereignty, and then pursue them relentlessly through different means, constantly adapting to the tech, economic, geopolitical landscape. Well, it offers a compelling model for strategic resilience.
So long-term planning, foundational investments.
Foundational investments that pay off for decades, yes. And the continuous embrace of innovation, regardless of the specific leadership structure, it really challenges all of us to look beyond maybe just the immediate political cycles and consider those deep, powerful currents of national strategy that can truly shape a nation's destiny over the long haul.
A truly fascinating perspective on nation-building, adaptability, and the ever-evolving nature of national power. We hope this deep dive has given you a lasting impression of that dynamic interplay between leadership, innovation, and national destiny, and maybe sparked your curiosity to keep exploring the complexities of how nations really evolve and thrive. Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.